Hey everybody, it's Will Gully with the Recruiting Lounge. And yesterday, LSU Tigers, they won the men's College World Series over Florida. Two teams from the SEC went 3 games in the championship series, and kind of in a barn burner, uh, LSU kind of stole the show. But interestingly, at the same time as the series is going on, Joel Klatt from Fox was able to sit down and talk with the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. And they talked about a number of different things, from the state of college athletics to the transfer portal to NIL. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about is just give some insight into his perspective about NIL and the transfer portal. He said that the transfer portal, what they've seen is that the transfer portal has a 45-day window. And we're talking about the major sports here, for football specifically. And what we've seen is, the first 2 weeks of the transfer portal, as soon as it opens, student athletes say they're not playing, or they have the challenges with the coach, or whatever. They put their name in, they raise their hand, and say, "Hey, I'm in the portal." And in the next short amount of time, instead of coaches reaching out to them, in addition to coaches reaching out to them, also you have agents. He said, agents, and some other, potentially bad actors, will reach out to these individuals and say, "Hey, if you go to this school, I've got this amount of money in the NIL bucket waiting for you if you come to this school." And so that's not NIL. That is enticements, inducements. That's getting people to come to your school to play. And all that is anecdotal, he says. And so that's just not how NIL was set up. Now, he goes on further to say, one of the things that these people are not communicating is that relative to your classes and your academic status. So you might go to a school, and your classes in one school, those may not transfer over. Those courses that you took at one school may not transfer over, so it could impact your academic standing at the other school. You might have to now take additional classes in order to be eligible to play, he said. So those are some of the things that they're working through. Now, what I'll provide some context is this. One, he makes the argument that the transfer portal should be a reduced amount of time. And I will say that the transfer portal, reducing that to a certain amount of time, seems to be ineffective. Why? Because there's so many people in the transfer portal. Schools are going to need time to determine who they want to engage with. Players and student athletes are going to need time to figure out which opportunities they want to consider. It's the recruiting world. And out of high school, out of junior college, these kids are being recruited for years, right? And we're now expecting them inside the transfer portal to be recruited for weeks and make a decision within weeks to go somewhere else. That is not, in my opinion, the way that the transfer portal should work. The 45-day window with 15 periods in 15 days, with the 15-day period outside of your season, and 30 days within your season, 30 days at a different time frame. Those make sense to me. That makes sense to me. It does not make sense to ask a student athlete at 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever year old, to make a decision on where they want to transfer, given all of the people that are going to transfer in that short amount of time. It doesn't make sense. And I don't, it's not fair for a student athlete. It's not fair for their parents. It's not fair for the coaches to expect them to make those decisions, because what you end up doing is the student athlete they're now making decisions with less information than they did when they're making a decision to go to college. And so you're asking the students to have a dominant behavioral style where they're making decisions with incomplete information. You're asking the parents to help their student athletes make decisions with incomplete information. And you're setting up for success. There's a student athlete right now that is now transferring to their fourth school. There's a basketball student athlete that is now transferring to their fourth school. I wonder what it would have looked like if he had an ample amount of time to make decisions about his future. So, while the SEC is trying to keep student athletes they're trying to protect student athletes, they're trying to protect the schools, they're trying to protect the coaches from the quote unquote bad actors. They're trying to do all these things. I think what we have to do is understand whose interests are we serving, right? Whose interests are we serving? At the end of the day, college athletics is about serving student athletes and making sure that they have the greatest college experience, the best support that they can, and that they're able to make some money off of their image and their name. That needs to be number one on the topic. So the question then becomes, okay, how do we protect them from the bad actors? How do we ensure that they are getting the accurate information from the coaches? How do we ensure that they have the substantial amount of time, the necessary amount of time to be able to make those decisions? As a parent of a student athlete, I think you should consider those when your student athlete is not only going to their first school, but thinking about transferring. All right. With that in mind, I want to say thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And as always, may your days be filled with moments of grace, mercy, joy, and love. Bye now.